name is Patrice Millien. I am the owner of A Million Concepts and the creator-producer of the Uncovered project. Well, the Uncovered franchise has now branched into a TV show series with CTV. We have a 13-part season episode type thing that we're doing with them, where we're featuring the talents that were associated with both the web series and the radio singing competition. Not just the singers or the musicians, but we also have the creative talents as well. So videographers, photographers, makeup artists, designers, fashion designers as well. So it's something that has branched into a full scope initiative that gets to showcase and promote local talent. Well, the entire thing I consider to be a project that's very audiovisual based, the production itself. So we do work with a lot of creative talents across the audiovisual field. So a video team, a photography team, a makeup team. And my job is usually to just kind of pull everybody together and pull everything together so that it makes sense on the production end. It's a task usually to coordinate with so many different people, especially as it relates to scheduling and in the post part of it, making sense of all that you've collected in the data collection aspects of things. But I mean, I think what's most beneficial out of it is the fact that you get to meet so many new people, you get to meet so many gifted, talented, young people especially who has the same passion that you do and who share that same passion and are willing to put out the effort and the time and the energy to create a product that we'll all be collaboratively proud of. It was in 2014 that we started. I think that's 2 years. It feels like longer, but 2 years ago, it started off as a web series, just with the basic premise of, hey, we want to pull together young talent and create something great. And we wanted it to be all locally based. So we did acoustic covers of soca songs. We used singers who are known but very talented vocally behind the scenes to sing the songs and to perform the songs. And we used a lot of unknown talent production-wise to help create the product all together. And so a lot of people have gotten the mileage and the visibility out of it that, I'm glad that they have, considering the fact that they volunteered their services initially. And so even a TV show, it's something that I wanted to give back to them as like a thank you for helping us out in those initial stages, because nobody really gets paid when you're trying something new. Money is usually the problem. And so even though you may have a lot of people willing to offer their services free of charge or just because they like your idea or your project, it's still a cost rendering process, and it still pulls a lot of resources out of people to conduct what needs to get done. And so I tend to feel bad a lot of the times, but I do try to bat it. Like, okay, if even if this is something that you're rendering your services for free or just because you want to, in the long haul, if there's any other production or project that comes up that is a paying project, I tend to give first preference to those persons who would have worked with us in the team from before. So it is a difficult process, especially as it relates to the financial part of it and funding the project, because you want to create quality content, and to create quality content you need a substantial budget or funding to be able to push the kind of things that you need to get done, or as incentive to get the talent on board in the first place, or to stay on board, because they'll come on board, but then when it pulls so much out of them and you're not really getting the returns on that, it's easy to fall off. And so that's one of the big challenges, I think, in running a production like Uncovered. I really didn't know what I was doing when I first started Uncovered, just generally speaking. Everybody involved, nobody really knew what we were doing. We just knew we had an idea and we wanted to execute it as best as we could. I have a background of psychology. I did a degree, my bachelor's of degree at UE, St. Augustine. And so when I came out of the degree, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do. And I knew that I didn't want to just delve straight into corporate. I went straight from secondary school to university. I've done internships. I know the scope of it, but it's something that I was very passionate about, taking the time to figure out if it's something, if I really want to get into that. And in that space of time, I would have worked with a lot of creative people that I would have met through UE in the film department, who did photography, who is very heavily audio based. My brother especially was a huge influence with regards to me getting into this. Because if it's one thing I knew I was always good at, is coordinating and organizing things. I just didn't know what area or field I could do that in for it to make sense and for it to also drive me or fuel my passion. And so he had his music studio, Mill Beast Entertainment. So it was easy to just kind of transition into, okay, I saw that he had a lot of projects within a concentrated period of time, usually for Carnival, his soca projects. So I kind of latched on to him and said, okay, here what, I'll help you organize each project as it go along so you could just focus on the creative parts of it. And it worked for a while. And within that space is where I think I was inspired a lot of the times toward the whole idea of taking soca songs and doing, the slow acoustic stripped down versions to them. And I think that's where the whole idea itself sparked. I would have also been helping to some extent creatively in the writing process of some of these songs as well. He had a team of writers who I kind of fall along with, and I realized that I had a passion for it as well. So I guess I didn't even know I had that dormant skill musically. My family is musically oriented. My dad is a musician. My sister sings. My brother's a producer. But I didn't know I had it in me until I was actually immersed in the environment to know that, hey, I could blend a melody here. I could put a harmony here. It's making sense, And then I found my own passion within that as well. I have a huge family. It's 8 of us in all, including my parents, 3 boys, 3 girls, and my mom and my dad. And we're all relatively close in age. The youngest is, I think he was the furthest away from us, about 5 years. But
is he the one who does accounting?
No, there's one after him who goes he's still in secondary school. He goes to QRC. But my brother is the oldest, David, with the studio. He's 2 years older than I am. And he's kind of pioneered a lot of what we do now based on him investing his time and energy into that. And my parents as well saw that talent in him, and they invested in him doing sound engineering courses and actually building up the studio home by us for him to have that space to to do the work. And my sister, who sings, who everybody confuses me with, Denise, she didn't even know that she had a voice either. I think through David's encouragement and asking her to come and do background vocals, and my mom hearing her singing around the house and asking, pushing her to do little competitions, that she discovered that she had a voice as well. So I think a lot of who we are as individuals and as a family is cultivated by the encouragement of our parents, the support of our siblings, because even with me, because I'm more heavily administrative, I tend to push Denise especially on the project end of things and making sure she gets things done efficiently. And so, within that dynamic, we all kind of help each other grow and get better. And then I have another sister, she's now venturing, well, she's always good at like hair stuff, combing hair, braiding and all these different things. And so we try to encourage her now to, in the field of what we do and creatively, get involved in that as well and start her own business with that. And then my other brother, he does accounting, and he's more business focused and business oriented. So we're trying to get him into the whole space of what we're doing as well. Granted, each of us have our own skill, and collectively it works. I think everybody's still in their own little lane. They want to have their own thing to call theirs. My dad has his music lessons, thing that he does, business. And so we all kind of try to keep our own thing because we're so heavily involved anyway, take it. But it works collectively when it comes to different ideas and projects that we have. Yeah, it's so many cousins. Yeah, it's so many cousins with the same last name, and they all involved some way or the other in some kind of business or creative space. And so people confuse us all the time. They think, it's like a football field family. Yeah, it could work. It's only recently that I was talking to the guys who I'm doing the TV show with now, and he said, everybody in your family has a character. They could, if you want to do a show, you could. I just think the only reservation people would have is Trinidad is so small, and they see it as this, like, it's a very small hub where it's easy to, if you put the wrong information out there or you put things out there in a way, it could kind of slur or slander the image that you portray as a holistic family or a nuclear family. And so I think it's something that has to be tastefully done if we do a show, because I think we can inspire a lot of young people, especially based on the fact that, each of us have our own thing going on, but dynamically in between, we still fight. We're still siblings, we still disagree, we would still have, the bickerings, and somebody might annoy somebody and not stop talking for like a week or two. And so I think being comfortable with that is the premise by which you would be able to do something like a show, knowing that, your character will naturally come out on its own personality-wise, and I mean, we know we have characters in the family. Somebody might be more, I'm like the serious, strict one. David is more the laid back, cool. Everybody gets along with him. Denise is the real friendly, bubbly one. My other sister, she's more like confused and lost, like she's trying to find her way through life. And so I think within each of us, we have a story to tell, but it just has, you just have to be very tactful in how you tell it. I think especially because with us, our parents play a big role when we fall out in bringing everybody back together. My dad is very spiritual, religious. I think my family generally, but my dad in particular, like we used to have family meetings and family prayers and like come together every week just to make sure that, any issues that we have, we could settle it within each other. And I think as we grow older, it's easy to kind of lose sight of that because we all get so busy and caught up in our own stuff. But yeah, I think if we were to do something to that degree, I think we could really inspire a lot of people with our million problems. My mom is not musical as well. She will admit that. So she kind of gets left out when we do interviews and we talk about how we get into all this. But my mom is my mom is a teacher. So she is very good at recognizing talent and the administrative side of things and coordinating things and organizing things. So I think that's where I got a lot of what I have from. But my dad, if we're looking at the musical side of things, my dad is the man. He plays the guitar, the piano, pan, he reads music, he scores music, he writes, he does the full scope of music services. Well, I have A Million Concepts itself. It's a creative production agency, I call it. And so there are different compartments that I wanted to focus on. Because Uncovered kind of took up a life of its own, I've gotten a little stuck within that space of it. But we've been able to branch off and do a lot more from that. So I have, under the brand of A Million Concepts, Millien Creations, which is more the production side of things, the internal projects that we do like Uncovered. I also started another one called Social Lime, which kind of, it's on the back burner right now because of the speed that we're going at with the Uncovered project. But Social Lime is like a lifestyle vlog that shows different things you could do in Trinidad outside of just partying and liming or beach. It highlights the different aspects that you could engage yourself in and interact with and actually, entertain yourself. There's Millien Vibes, which is more the entertainment and event type services. So, and that stems from Uncovered as well, because one of the things that happened as a result of the success of the project, the singers started to get, we started to get requests for the singers to perform at different events. And then because I have a network now of so many creative talents and people in the entertainment field, any type of entertainment service you might need, lights and stage, photography, anything within that space of the event and entertainment thing, like we could organize that for you and manage that project for you. So you don't have to deal with the hassle of dealing with 10 or 15 different vendors. And then there's Millien Solutions, which is more administrative based, where we do more project management. So anybody that has their own creative project that they're looking for some type of administrative assistance with, or somebody to just kind of take over and manage the project while they focus on the creative, that's a service that we render as well. Social media productions, those things. So it's a lot. It started off with me, and I'm actually, one of the things I'm learning from the process is how to delegate and just kind of entrust certain roles and responsibilities to people. But I'm so picky a person when it comes to working with people because I'm very meticulous and I'm very set on quality and content and production. And so, yeah, that's one of the challenges that I for sure could see within myself with regards to branching out, because I tend to do a lot of the things for myself instead of, delegating and letting somebody else come on board to do it. The hardest questions when you asked about yourself. Patrice is a passionate, persevering person. I am very focused when there's something that thrives my interest or that draws me or that attracts me. I'm very creative. I am very well organized when I want to be. And I just love creating content. I love being around creative people. I love doing things outside of the box and thinking outside of the box. So if I was to say in a nutshell who I am, I would say I am me. I think I've had a lot of different milestones with Uncovered in particular. again, I didn't really know what direction this was going to take us. This was just, hey, let's just do an acoustic version of a soca song with my sister. And it just kind of spiraled and became its own thing. And so I think just like it amazes me sometimes when people walk up to me in the streets or some, you know, in some random place and be like, hey, you're the girl from, like, I didn't have to be like, I'm not the singer. Because they always confuse me with Dini. So I'm like, no, I'm not the singer. No, you're the girl that does the show. You're the girl with the Uncovered project. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I love it so much. There was this time I went to Jamaica and there was one girl in a very random party. And she came up to me and she said, are you the girl that does the Uncovered thing? I love that so much. There's one guy and she started to tell me, you know how much she loves one of the singers' voices. I remember in that moment that it hit me that I was like, this thing is bigger than I am, and as simple for me as it was a concept or an idea, this actually reaches people and it touches a lot of people's lives and it actually inspires people. And so that becomes a very surreal thing for me, that I have this responsibility now to keep pushing forward with different projects and ideas and brands. And I mean, it really does inspire me to keep going on and creating new things and, you know, pushing myself through, because sometimes even for me, like, I get down and I feel like at 26 years old I haven't really done much, and somebody might watch me and be like, I'm crazy, but it's still something that I have to pull myself out of and through, because of the fact that I feel like I have so many things going on in my head and I want to do so much more, but I'm limited by a lot of things like resources or, you know, support. So that's kind of where I am right now. There are different projects that I really want to embark on. There are things that I want to do to make financial sense out of the business too, because so far it's just been a lot of creating, but there hasn't been a lot of capitalizing. And so I think for me, meeting more people and making more business sense out of the ideas that I have is the road that I know that I need to kind of stay on now to, you know, progress. Failure for the most part. It's funny that a lot of the times it's my mom, as much as we fight a lot because we disagree on a lot of different things, but my mom has always been the one person to encourage me. And there are other handful of people as well who I'm very close to, who they always say, like, what something is holding you back, like what is holding you back. And for me, when I think about it, it's always the idea that this could be great, but maybe it might flop. So I don't really want to know if I want to take the risk of it flopping. But it's really compelling when I actually like kind of step out of that limiting box and like try it. And I always tell people, just try it. You never know where it could go if you don't try it. Uncovered was an idea a year before it actually came to fruition. And that was something that somebody had to push me to just try. So I think for me, just the idea of something not becoming as great as it is in my head tends to kind of hold me back. But there's always a core group of people that's there to just kind of encourage me and push me and say, no, just try. And that's something I would always tell somebody that has an idea. Just do it and see where it goes from there. Patience. Patience. Because, and this is not just in the realm of the project itself, with people as well. Because I have so many things going on in my mind, I tend to be very hasty. Okay, this needs to get done, this needs to happen, and then I kind of lose sight of we're still dealing with human beings, you know. And as much as you want to encourage people to be efficient and, you know, dependable and reliable and all these different things, things happen. And so you kind of have to plan for a lot of different things all the time. So I'm not plan A, B, C, D, E, F, I put a lot of different things in place, and people think like it comes across kind of pessimistic, but it's just my way of making sure that even if you're safeguarded, you know. But the patience element of it is also that you're working on a lot of budding talents, and so they're not going to always be, on the game and know exactly what they're doing. They're learning too. And so being open to that and kind of helping groom that process or be a part of that process makes a big difference as well. When Dini started to sing the hook, the roll it slow, I remember that was a big thing at that point because we all had writer's block. Nobody was coming up with anything fresh or new, and she started to sing that. And then I remember the reaction of one of the writers. She was like, that is it there. And then when we finished that song, we knew from that, because of that one song in particular, even though we had a good, some good hits on the rest of the rhythm, that song would go far. And I remember when it first released, the reactions that people were getting out of it, like I felt so proud that I was part. I think it was one of the first projects that I was part of with David and with Denise. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, the first time I heard it on the radio, I was like, oh my gosh, and people was rubbing on the rhythm and saying this is one of the biggest rhythm for Carnival. And I remember saying we were all so excited about it, and we were like, oh, we write that. So even today, like when people hear the song and I sit down in a party and I see everybody reacting to it, it's like, oh, this is so cool. Like we were part of this process. Like we helped write the song. So the Uncovered project, it premieres on CTV every Thursday at 8 p.m. So you guys can go check it out. Also check out our Facebook page, Uncovered-TNT, as well as the Millien Concepts page. You'll find all our content, all our videos. And I'm sure you'll all like it, so check it out. Bye.